Welcome to Jungo Vibes. This is the podcast for creative entrepreneurs who dare to dream big. Jungo means connecting, and that's exactly what we do. I'm your host. So, welcome to Jungo Vibes. It's a new day, it's a sunny day. I think for all of us, it's a sunny day. And I'm here with two special guests. One I've known now for more than almost 10 years. And the other one is
Oh,
her business partner. And they're from South Africa. And I want to introduce you to Kutlwano and Chule. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm trying, girls. Thank you for being on the podcast. Introduce yourself and let the listeners also know who you are.
oh, I'll go first then. My name is Kutlwano Mabusela. As you've mentioned, I'm here with my business partner, life partner, Chule and she'll introduce herself. So I am the head of operations and executive transmedia producer at Rainbow Conscious Creatives. We're going to speak a little bit about our agency. Today, we are a diversity, equity, and inclusion storytelling agency. And we are on a mission to spread the gospel about Ubuntu and how this is the time where Ubuntu must be accelerated. So we call ourselves Ubuntu enthusiasts. I am a mother. I am a wife. A recent mother of two now, two under five.
Congrats.
So my life.
I understand.
Married to Keke Lingo, my husband, Keke Mabusela, who's a musician and a percussionist. And I am born and bred from Soweto, Johannesburg in South Africa. And I don't know if I'm leaving anything out, but that's me.
Amazing. Wow. Very full, powerful mommy, mompreneur, powerful woman. And you look beautiful. So for the people who don't see it, she looks beautiful. I just made a screenshot because everyone looks so beautiful. So you heard click click because I just made a screenshot of this amazing call. Anyway,
She
play.
she left out that she's an award-winning cinematographer. Uh-huh. That she's an award-winning documentary cinematographer.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
I did leave that out. Thank you, Kule. I am learning to not minimize my
Exactly.
achievements.
Shine.
Thank
Don't
you.
make yourself
You,
smaller.
Kule.
Like, let us
Thank
know
you.
all the accolades. We want to know everything.
It's been an amazing journey. It was a 6-year documentary called Lobola, A Bride's True Price, which charts our director deciding whether she wants to do Lobola, which is dowry or bride's price that's practiced in our different cultures. And we also look at, does Lobola or dowry have a future? In the African context as well. So then we won Best Documentary Feature in 2023.
Wow, that's amazing. Congrats, girl. Wow. And that's
At
amazing
the South
because
African Oscars, basically. Like, she keeps minimizing. Like,
African
at
Yes,
the
at the South
Oscars.
Oscars.
African Film and Television Awards, our Oscars.
I'm speechless. I'm just quiet because it's amazing. Wow. Okay. Girl, thank you, Tuli, for bringing that up because
Thank you.
okay. Tell them who you are also.
I am Chule, also known in the streets as Chule the Love Activist, yo. And it's because that for the past like 10 years, I've been intentionally trying to use love as an activism tool. And now it's not evolving, but I'm realizing that Ubuntu is love because Ubuntu is an all-encompassing experience. So I'm Chule the Love Activist / Chule the Ubuntu Activist.
Amazing.
I can say I am wife to Quentin, who's a tech entrepreneur, mother to Malubongo, who is 10 going on 35.
Wow.
I have my own platform called Conversations with a Love Activist, where I share my journey of self-love and healing, and moving towards my most authentic self, very, very candidly for the past like 4 years now. I don't know where the time has actually gone.
I remember when you started that. I was living on another continent, and I was living on Curacao. I wasn't even living in Curacao, in Ghana yet. Like, I was living in the Caribbean.
That's how long ago it was, and how crazy. I mean, you weren't even a mom yet. Like,
No.
Crazy. It's so crazy. I also have another web series with my husband called Unman. And we started it inspired by, during COVID, unfortunately, there was a huge spike of gender-based violence all over the world, but especially in South Africa, unfortunately. And
there was a lot of it in Europe as well. It was everywhere. It was everywhere.
Everywhere. It was just...
But also to children. It was also just violence at the home, and it was really, yeah.
It was another pandemic on top of the pandemic we were in at the time. And so me and my husband got tired of having these solo conversations at home. And I realized that we speak of toxins as though they don't have a cure. Toxic masculinity, anything toxic has a cure if you're intentional about curing it. So that was our remedy. And man, we were unpacking masculinity by inviting people from all walks of life. Our guests are people from the queer community, people who are a generation after us, and they're speaking around their experiences on masculinity. And at the end of the episode, we have a life coach unpack and give practical tools on how to have courageous conversations. What does self-care for men look like? How to be vulnerable but safe as well as a man, because we recognize that there aren't a lot of soft spaces for men to land.
Yeah, true.
I'm also a certified birth doula, and we'll speak about that soon. It was inspired by a documentary series that we've even attempted to work on called Birthright.
Yeah.
And I've had the honor of doing a 3-month specially curated African cosmology course with Gogo Rutendo, who is the wisdom keeper of Credo Mutwa's work. If you know Credo Mutwa, he basically wrote the African Bible. Wow. Based on African anthologies and spiritual practices. And
I have to write that down after, because we want to put that in the description so that people can look it up, and I want to look it up. So keep bringing that knowledge.
So, and the reason why I say that is because that is where the course was around. We wanted to create a self-love course that was steeped in African mindfulness practices. And that is where we were taught around the depth and breadth of Ubuntu. So I can officially call myself an Ubuntu practitioner, because the wisdom has been passed down by actual wisdom keepers of this indigenous knowledge.
Wow. So that is really a sacred practice, basically, to do that. And how do you incorporate Ubuntu in your, like in Brainbow Conscious Creatives, like your company? Tell us some, like, how you incorporate that even in working together, in working maybe with team members. Yeah, tell us how you do that, because I think everyone in the world can learn from that as an entrepreneur, as business owners, and even if you're working at a company.
So I think the best place to start is to sort of break down what true Ubuntu is, which is where we always start. I think, people like Nelson Mandela and even the Archbishop Desmond Tutu, people who are archetypes, I would say, of the South African story, have always led forward with the philosophy of I am because you are or we are. And that's only half of the story, because true Ubuntu says I am because of all that is. So it is a notion that I am interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent with all that is. So this includes the environment. This includes the skies, the cosmology. This includes the animal kingdom. I think when it is just human to human, it is a very one-dimensional way of seeing Ubuntu. Once you start to think of everything as you and you as everything, is where Ubuntu starts to sort of be unlocked. And then whatever you're doing, so whether it is business or you're going to school or you're raising a family, once you have that mindset or that philosophy activated in your life, you understand that, something as small as where am I going to build my house, or something as small as where my office is going to be located, you start to think, okay, what am I interconnected with? So the environment that I'm going to be building on, the people who are going to be building my home or my office, the community around my home or my office. It's a way of thinking very broadly about what your effect is on all that is, not just others. And so for us in business, what we enjoy is that Ubuntu allows us to see our client more than just a sale. We understand that our relating with our client has consequences. It has an effect that kind of happens. So it helps us be mindful about the kind of projects we get involved in, the kind of clients we attract into our orbit, the kind of people we hire, the suppliers that we have to really sit. And that's why, of late, we really do practice sitting in the space, a spiritual space, a meditative space, a contemplative space, to really search our bodies and search our ancestors. Is this the right thing to do? Does this have a positive domino effect on all that is? It is not an easy thing to bring into a business because, as you'll know, business is very cerebral. It's a lot about the mental energy. It's a lot about being logical, being efficient. But this allows us to bring in the heart space into business, where you can meditate on what is the effect of this? What do I want from this? How do I feel about this? So for us, Ubuntu is a way of holistically seeing rainbow.
Amazing. I love that because I think the cerebral part of business, I think that's maybe also the perception people have, but actually if you look at many leaders, and of course everyone is different, I can't speak for everyone, but what I have noticed is that people are very spiritual when they have reached, it doesn't even matter when they have reached certain position, but I do notice a lot of business owners talking about, like, it's not just, oh, I take this step, this step, this step, because there's no one path for no one. It's, you have to follow your ancestors, God, whatever you believe in, and surrender yourself to a higher consciousness. Basically, that's why I also love your name, Rainbow Conscious Creatives, like a higher consciousness, and let that creative energy flow, and because it's creativity. Even if you are in a business of, let's say, you're in the steel industry, I'm just saying something. Even then, you have to be creative. You have to be creative with your team. You have to be creative with, the people around you. You have to make sure you want to have safe environments, and you don't want anything to happen, at work, that everyone is safe and sound. Like, I truly believe in that. And I think we forget it in our daily, just, oh, it's Monday. It's now Monday in this episode. We keep going. And as I told you before we started recording, like, I decided this Monday I'm starting different. I went on my jog. I went jogging. I then did my yoga, my meditation, and then came onto this call. And that gives me maybe I needed to also connect with you guys more in that way, because I have been in that cerebral mode a lot, and it kind of had an effect on my health. So I'm wondering, how do you guys, like, hey, you're also a mom, both of you are also a mom, both of you are also wives. How do you find that balance to still be a professional in that cerebral world, but at the same time use Ubuntu like that? Like, can you give some practical tips for people like us and people who are listening?
So I don't know if it's been intentional, but one of the greatest gifts that has helped us to kind of practice Ubuntu on a serious note has been working on Birthright, our documentary series. And it's a gift that had been given to us 8 years ago now. And we only really took it seriously end of 2023, when Kutlwano had received instructions from our ancestors like 6 months prior that we need to do a sacred retreat and find out from them, what is birthright about? Before that moment, birthright was just a documentary looking at birth. It was as simple as that. And we didn't have an intention of incorporating Ubuntu or our ancestors in the process until we went on this retreat, which basically put us in a position to embody and to come out of this a cerebral space, which as filmmakers, funny enough, you can really be stuck in a really cerebral space, or as creatives, and come more into learning the language or becoming fluent in the language of your body and being more embodied. And so since that retreat until now, we've had so many beautiful opportunities and aha moments that have opened up. So one of the big things is that that our ancestors said to us, something we started doing as a ritual is that there's a waterfall not far from here called the Walter Sisulu Botanical Gardens. So we started going to consult about birthright at those waters and speaking to our ancestors, crying to our ancestors, saying we're scared. We don't know how this is going to happen. No one is giving us funding to do it. All these, worries and concerns and wins, anything really. And we would, have these really powerful embodied experiences after these consultations. And at the very first one, actually, they said that we need to make this an exploration by mothers for mothers. People need to see Kutlwano and me as creative business owners, as wives, as mothers, trying to create this documentary out of nothing, basically.
Yeah.
That people need to see that creative process because it mirrors the birthing process as well. It mirrors how the creativity and birthing are different sides of the same coin. And so having now to actually have our own stories and our own experiences as part of the documentary has helped us to see that, in fact, this documentary is not just about birth, but it's about Ubuntu. Yes. It's about the Ubuntu inherent in birth, because the NTU, the new part of Ubuntu, is a suffix for life force. And there's different kinds of Ubuntus. Ubuntu is a very deep philosophy with
because we only know the surface of it here in the West, or a lot of people don't even know. That's why this podcast is so important to do, because even the generations that come behind, like the Gen Zs or whatever, they don't know. They have not grown up in. I remember I was a little girl and my grandparents were looking at TV, and I remember when Mandela was free, or Madiba, was free. Like I remember I was a little girl. Yeah, if you count back, my age. But I remember I was seeing that, and it stuck. It's in my head still, like till this day, like what it looked like, even what the TV looked like, and how happy they were. And that's the first time I heard of that word. I never knew as a kid, of course. And later, when I came to South Africa as well, I kind of, but still, I didn't have time to dive deep. So for everyone who's listening, like, as you say, Ubuntu has different, it's even, say the simplest way that people mostly know, and then go a bit deeper for us. Yeah.
So, like Kutlwano had mentioned, that we all know Ubuntu is I am because you are.
Yes.
And that what we have learned from Gogo Rutendo and Wisdom Keepers, which is information that a lot of Africans don't even know.
No.
So don't feel like because you're in the West, a lot of people don't know the depths and the gifts that Ubuntu actually have. So there's a thinking methodology, which I don't even know if we have time. Basically, there's different ways of looking at a problem, and I'm going to put problem in inverted commas. Let's look at racism, for example. If we were to use the Ubuntu thinking methodology, there's segregation first. What's the thing that makes us different on the outside, but actually there's something that's similar on the inside that I may not be able to see? There's oh my gosh, there's what's the other ones, Kutlwano? Because now I'm thinking of circumspect, which is all the methodologies all together. So there's what is the same on the outside, like we're all Black women on these calls, but there's things in our internal world that are different that we may not see. And so you kind of break it down to get to a holistic, circumspect, which is like a bird's eye view of the problem. At looking at, actually, there's so many interconnections, there's so many interdependencies, there's so many interrelated points that then makes up the Ubuntu solution or the Ubuntu view or the Ubuntu mindset. There's different kinds of Ntus. There's Hantu, for example, which is the life force behind time and space. There's Bintu, which is the life force behind our concepts, our ideologies, things that we create with our own minds. Those things have a life force. Amazing. Of course they do.
Yes.
Apple phone, the reason why you're holding a phone is because someone had a Bintu. Someone had a moment, a flash of inspiration that now is in the metaverse, in our natural material world. There's Kintu, which is the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom. But funny enough, trees do not fall under Kintu. They fall under Bantu. Bantu is then people.
Oh, they fall under the trees and the people fall under one?
Yes,
why is that? I want to know. I know we cannot cover everything. My brain is just going like, woo. My brain, my heart, everything. Like, heart beating faster. This is so exciting. I want to know more. Can I also go to a retreat? That's all the things that go through my head. Maybe also the people who are listening, but I'm like, wow.
That's why Rainbow is here. And so just to go back to your question of how then do you use Ubuntu in your daily life? When you start interacting with Ubuntu, like it was a slow burn. Literally, we found out about the depths of Ubuntu. I did that African cosmology course, I think in 2022. But slowly and surely, Ubuntu has just been making its way into our reality more and more and more, and becoming more and more pronounced. So, for example, last year we did the Ubuntu Summit under the umbrella that Ubuntu is our global heritage. It doesn't just belong to African people. It belongs to all of us. 40 minutes from where I live is the cradle of mankind, where all of humanity is said to have been birthed from. The great womb is literally 40 minutes away from where we are. And so bringing people together from all over the world, from Thailand, from Nigeria, from the UK, from the United States, under this banner of Ubuntu, then really made it such a visceral experience because we didn't have to explain it a lot.
No, because you have to be there. I also feel that. That's why I'm asking, like, when are we going on this retreat? When am I flying again to South Africa? It's a 12-hour flight, but we'll do it. But so the Ubuntu experience is something you've organized last year, you said?
Yes, so last year in October, and then we're planning, and last year in October, it was an online event. So we met, online. Because Ubuntu is about all that is, the internet technology is also our relative.
Yes, of course.
So that's where we met. The internet held us in community all over the world, which is something that could not happen without our technological relatives. But this year, we've even changed the name. So this year's summit is called the Ubuntu Futures Summit, and it will be held in South Africa in October.
Where in South Africa will you do it?
Well, we'll let you know in Johannesburg for sure.
Okay.
But we are hoping that we get the venue that we want to do it in the cradle of mankind. That's where we want to host this year's summit, because of the fact that literally it's the site of the Great Womb, where all of us are from. So it just brings that story together and just almost levels the playing ground the way that Ubuntu often does, right? That we see our interconnectedness, interrelatedness, interdependence. We're not relating to each other based on race or gender. we're relating to each other now on a completely different frequency and vibration. So this is how Ubuntu then infiltrates in how we do. Like when we're coming up with a strategy, we go, what is interrelated? What is the problem that our client has? And what are the interconnections, the interrelated themes, the interdependent, and how do we bring together a space where we're bringing Ubuntu into the workspace? We're bringing Ubuntu to your customers, to our customers. And we're just so humbled by the fact that we get to love people in this way, in a space that is apparently loveless, or where love does not belong, apparently.
I love it. And it should be a place that is loved, where love is, because I think people, and that's a bit what I noticed because I've lived in different spaces or over the world, and then I'm now in Europe again, and it's like I understand. You see the mindset that you've grown up with, and I think it's in everywhere when you're in a corporate or whatever space or business space. But how can you then bring that interconnectedness, that love, and that caring for, hey, the effect that I have on what kind of deals I make and who you're dealing with, all those things. But even yes, the environment, yes, the trees, the animal, everything. What is the effect? That is really a big idea, and I think a lot of businesses should be busy with that. There's a lot of going on right now in the West. Everything is about sustainability and green energy and stuff, but a lot of it is so gimmicky, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. More like, oh yeah, you can get money and reductions, so we take electric car. But really, do you really believe in that? Do you really? And almost it's frowned upon when you are an actual, like an actual advocate for like honest treatment, or just respecting each other, really respecting each other deeply. So you have to do one thing and then not the other. It's almost all fragmented to me. So I would love to see if we can do something, because we didn't know that this would come up like this. I remember that you guys had Ubuntu, that I experienced, that I saw it briefly, that you guys had this gathering online. I think you sent me something, but it would be great if we could arrange something with maybe entrepreneurs from here who would love to come over. I am recently now the founder and chairwoman of a foundation in the Netherlands called Azania, which actually comes from South African word. Exactly. So Stichting Azania, or Azania Foundation. And we have now started, so I haven't even like brought, this is the first time I actually talk about it, because we also believe in we've set it up. I have two amazing board members. We have amazing team members already. We're in the starting phases of it, but I feel this is the moment to talk about it, because we're also helping creative entrepreneurs, especially with trade missions. We also do creative workshops for young people, so the creative entrepreneurs that do things like digital drawing or fashion or whatever, or even app creations of apps or whatever. Everything creative. We do that as well. So for young people, for people at school, and we also do like events, festivals, etc. So those are the three things. But especially the trade missions is something that is really missing. And especially if you talk about cultural exchange, that is the most important thing. Like, how as a creative entrepreneur can you take your creative IP, let me just say, call it like that, and export it, or like have interactions in other countries, other clients, other partners to work together. We're really all kind of living in our bubbles with these countries that we're living in. I'm also making my, because we just made the borders, like I
Yes.
come on. So but even those kind of conversations, it's so hard to have with people don't really think, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, that's true. And to have really people together, to go to that deeper level, like, okay, how can you really merge, like, business is spiritual, business is Ubuntu is everything, but also go deeper into your whole life experience, I think that would be so healing for so many people. So let's explore it. I have to talk to my board members now because they're not in the call, so I have to talk to them about it. But it would be amazing. But
Yeah.
can you tell us also a little segue about your I'm going to the accolades part because in the beginning that was the whole thing. We weren't telling all. So like the things that you have produced with Brainbow, and also maybe for people listening who want to be in that space of creating documentaries or in the to work in that creative space. Like, what would you advise them? Also for the young people listening.
Sure.
Yeah.
um, sure. Where does one start with something like that? I'll take it in two parts. I think I'll take the first part. I actually want to link it a little bit to what Kuda was saying. So going back to the advice or the tips part about how to really use Ubuntu in all that, or incorporate it in what you do. I would say if we take away the word Ubuntu, it's really a call for providing yourself essentially with emotional availability. I think we go and we give birth to businesses and we create entities with our minds, but there's no emotional availability from our hearts. And there's that thing that we always heard when we started a business that it's not personal, it's just business. Well, business is very personal. It does involve your heart, as you were saying, that the biggest leaders we have in the world, we enjoy them because we enjoy their hearts. And so I would start with, how do you relate to yourself? How are you a good relative to yourself? I think Ubuntu is truly captured when you can develop a sense of acknowledgement of self and then pour out to all that is. So what I love the most about Ubuntu, that it does not minimize the I am, that it actually starts with the I am, that the I am is the starting point, and then the pouring out into all that is not secondary but next door.
Yeah.
And I think I would advise anybody, even especially a young person, I think anybody entering into their early 20s or rounding up the childhood and kind of entering into this adult phase in their lives, I would say, ask yourself, am I a good relative to myself? Would I want to hang out with myself? Do I treat myself with dignity? Do I treat myself with the respect that I know I deserve? And if not, what are the barriers to that? So if I'm having an undignified experience of my life, what is creating that indignity? Is it the people I'm hanging around with? Is it my environment? Is it the fact that I don't have a good, which is something that came up with us, I don't have a good dialogue with myself. Like, I don't speak to myself in a loving way. That was my one for sure. I had to realize my monologue is toxic. So I think if we take away Ubuntu, it's about taking stock of what kind of relative are you. Then you can relate to all that is. So if you want to make art as a living, if you want to make art as the thing in your life that you want to build, all the art comes from your emotional availability. It all comes from the space you're building from the inside. Otherwise, there is no inspiration. When you go to business incubators or they try to help you understand business, one of the things they say is identify a problem, right? They say, if you can identify a problem, you can identify a market, then you've got a business in there. Well, what's the thing that helps you identify the market? What is the nudge that helps you say, hey, this actually irritates me and there should be a solution for this?
Yeah, it's emotions.
That is the internal space that you've built inside. I think for Brainbow, before I go into what we've created, the problem we saw even in film school was that there was a lack of access. There was a lack of access to create and fail. There was a lack of access even to create and succeed. There was a lack of access. And so we realized that there are no platforms where people who look like me or sound like me can be themselves and practice creativity. And so because where did that nudge come from? There was a sense within us when we met that I deserve the dignity of creating something, failing, learning from it, and creating again and succeeding and enjoying my work. I deserve that. And so I want to give it to others. So I think that's where I would go. I would say that your interpersonal relationship with yourself is where you should start if you're a young person trying to start an agency, trying to start a gallery, a studio, whatever is in your heart. Why are you creating? And are you having a proper dialogue between you and yourself? And as Chule said, it's a slow burn, because first you might find, yeah, I am. And then if you search deep enough, you might find, oh, there's a barrier. I actually want to be like so-and-so, and I'm not being myself. Oh, I might be jealous. Oh, I might have envy. So it's a slow burn. And I think I would love to see a world where we've built enough space for young people to kind of go through those layers in a safe way and be able to redirect themselves. I would say stay open, stay open to your own personal process. The lovely thing about Ubuntu is that the more you get to know yourself, the more abundance and opportunities come. So Ubuntu helps you eradicate the barriers, which opens up space to say, oh, there could be this, or I could merge this art and make a new thing. And so it's a space builder by asking you, do you relate to yourself in a dignified way so you can relate to all that is in a dignified way? So what that has led us to is projects that we are very, very proud of. If I can go back to before we met Ubuntu, we were already pioneering the voices of those that are not at the table. Our very first advertising campaign, coming out of being a production company, was with Ariel, the washing powder. I'm not sure in the West it goes by another name. Is it Tide?
Tide, we know in I think in the UK and in America, but not in not in Belgium or the Netherlands. No.
Oh, okay. So Tide, Ariel, a PNG
Ariel.
family
No, we
member.
also have Ariel. We have Ariel. Sorry, it's the same. I was thinking about a mermaid. I don't know why. I was in Ariel mermaid land. Sorry, I was, and then you said soap, so I was like, huh? I got you. We have Ariel. It's the same thing. We
Creative
have it.
Agency, Ariel the mermaid. I see it. I see it.
Well, we
Ariel
have the
washing powder.
The washing powder. We have it. Yeah.
With the washing powder, and our client wanted to say thank you to the hand wash market, which is our mothers. I grew up with my mom hand washing my stuff quickly. We didn't have a washing machine for years. And so when we sat together, we were like, no, actually, they're trying to thank our moms. But what do we know about our moms? What would be a thank you that suffices my mother? And we utilized Ubuntu by picking up the phone and calling what we describe as our mothers, our own mothers, other people's mothers, anybody we knew of a certain age. And we incorporated what they wanted into the conversation, which made a very successful campaign that won us one of the awards that opened up our eyes about opening up an agency, which was we attended the Mobile Marketing Association Awards in New York in 2018, I think. And there they take all the agencies around the world and they do an index of, I think, over 100 agencies.
Wow.
And we were number 6. And I think what intrigued us is number 5 was Ogilvy. And we were saying, okay, if we are right hand in hand with Ogilvy, it means that prioritizing other people's dignified or access to hear their voices actually makes business sense.
Yes.
Thinking of others, interconnectedness actually makes business sense. And I think that set us off on a chart up until we've created for Disney Channel, where they wanted to incorporate more diverse children onto their channel, especially in this territory. They were looking to give voice to those children that have diverse backgrounds. And so a Rainbow, because we utilize the spirit of Ubuntu, we invited them. We spoke to those kids. What kind of kid needs to be on Disney Channel? What kind of kid needs to see themselves on the Disney Channel? And so in every strategy we do for our client, we ask ourselves, what would be a dignified approach? What would be I am because of all that is?
Beautiful. Wow. I heard some name dropping though. Disney. Name drop. No, but I love this. Really, I'm so thankful for this conversation, and I just hope also that your business keeps growing, because this is what what the world needs: more businesses like this, more leaders like this, and we need to be we need to celebrate each other. And that's why I also, believe in this podcast. Jungo actually means connecting in Latin, in the old language, Latin language. So it's connecting. It's all about bringing people together. It started back in the day, like 2018, 2019, as an app that I wanted to create, already an AI integrated app. When AI wasn't even a thing, because it was 6 years ago, was about connecting people on events through AI to see, maybe the person that's sitting 3 rows from you can be your business partner or whoever. But again, the things that we face also, as I've been to Silicon Valley. I've been to all those places, for funding, and 0.5%, I think, of funding goes to Black women or women of color. I don't know. It's really ridiculous, low. But there are other ways, and I believe I've always kept, going, and then turned it into a marketing agency. So now we help people with marketing, with videos, all types of things. Mostly they have their own content, and we do the ads and those kind of things. So I just think it's beautiful, because a lot of people can learn from you, from the Ubuntu principle, but also from the production side. Everyone has to be their own producer these days, kind of, with social media. But also that you can be you have David and Goliath, that story, right? You can be fighting, that giant, and come out on top. And especially with the interconnectedness we have now of the internet, that even Tule said before, there are so many chances, and the swiftness that you have as a smaller agency growing, you can just outperform them. So I wish that for you. That's my wish for you guys, to just rise, keep rising. So I just want to thank you both. Maybe you both of you just want to say one thing, like one giveaway, one thing you just want to tell the people that are listening to.
No, thank you for creating a platform like this, where voices that would maybe not be ordinarily heard, like ours, get the chance to be amplified. So thank you for practicing Ubuntu, even if you didn't know that that's what you were doing. And I know right now it's a very scary time, especially in the diversity, equity, and inclusion kind of landscape that we play in belonging work. But when the beauty about Ubuntu, we don't see an other. There isn't a Trump over there who's doing stuff to us, and we are these victims of the choices that this powerful Trump is making.
Yeah.
That is my uncle.
Yeah.
How
we're all connected. Yeah.
We are all connected.
Yeah.
That's another thing about Ubuntu, is that Ubuntu works from a basis of abundance.
Yes.
It doesn't work on scarcity economics. It works on abundance. Everything is available. You have so much love. You have so much support, because your support is not just human. True. You have so much support available to you. One of our wisdom keepers said something so powerful, and they were speaking about racism, and they said racism is a relationship issue. And it hit us that every ism, every form of prejudice, every form of othering, the climate crisis, the issues that we're having with AI and us creating things that are not to our best interest, all those things are relationship issues.
It's true.
But the beauty about relationships is that they can be repaired.
They can be healed and repaired, and that's beautiful. Even the thing I just said about the statistic and with the funding, and I am that's my personal journey to because I have never let like racism and things like that stop me. That's why I also have achieved certain things that people are like, huh? Okay, you can do that in the Netherlands. Okay, how? For example, presenting at an event where the Queen Maxima, the Queen of the Netherlands, was there. It was 10 years ago that I did that. Like those type of things that even people who were like TV hosts, famous TV hosts, haven't done. So yeah, I'm just open. I'm just like that. And I think as time progresses and some things, you experience some things with people, also relationships and relationship in yourself, then you kind of and I want to stay open. So that's why I'm so happy with this conversation. It's healing me personally, so I hope it also heals the people. But yeah, even that, I don't even. I'm not even saying that anymore. I'm leaving that like dropping it now. I'm healing.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we we see that what is happening in the world right now is exactly what's supposed to be
Yes.
for our highest good.
Yeah.
And when you have an Ubuntu orientation, it just opens you up to really seeing things from a bird's eye view. Not that you are higher than or like I'm above it and I'm better than those people who are not thinking Ubuntu. No, it goes, we are all on the same web of life. How are we going to make sure that our relationship is as healthy as it can be? That's all.
Amen.
How can I make sure that I'm teaching AI the best parts of humanity that it can have access to? How can I make sure that my wonder about the environment never wavers, even though there's the crisis that's loud, but the everyday realities is that nature is still beautiful and is still being really kind to us, despite all our flaws. So, yeah, it's a step by step, inefficient way of doing things, but it's a way that creates so much more abundance.
Well, I think it's not. You can't call it inefficient. I don't even know. Now I'm gonna tell the Ubuntu master that it's not inefficient. But what I feel is it doesn't feel inefficient. It feels like how nature intends it to be.
Yes. Inefficient in the capitalist
For the brain, yeah.
and
Yes.
cerebral.
Yes.
It's like
Cerebral.
lab
Yeah.
has no place. This is an inefficient use of our time here as in public. But it will create so much more abundance
Amazing.
in the end.
Some last words also for you, Kutlwano?
I'm going to use a word that Chule has been taunting me with since the beginning of the year. And I'm going to use the word grace.
Wow.
I want to leave people with the word grace, to give yourself grace, and grace having a big part of your well-being. Once you can give yourself grace, and grace is not an excuse. It's not saying that, I can't change this. I can't. It's saying I didn't know better. I get to know better, and I am better. And like I said, the inside out approach that Ubuntu gifts us with, I would like people to do that. I think if we can have more grace for ourselves, we can have more grace for one another. And Ubuntu thrives with grace. So you used the example of David and Goliath, and Ubuntu would say, David is Goliath. Goliath is David. The fact that they met on a field in a battle, it means they love each other. They attracted each other to have that intense moment that we still remember 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years later, about that union, right? That David defeated this giant. One could say that the giant lived inside of David. So I think that Ubuntu opens up the fact that we are all each other, but it only starts if we can give ourselves grace. Wow. So one of the wonderful things about the pandemic is that the great pause was to see where we're not giving each other grace.
True.
Where we're holding our breath, right? Hence a respiratory crisis. Yeah. And so if we're going to exhale all together, then let us please exhale with grace. I didn't know better. I get to do better. I am better.
Amen. Wow, beautiful. Thank you so much, both of you. I'm gonna leave all the details of your Instagram, website, everything in the description. Whether you're listening to this on YouTube or on Spotify or Audio Mac, we're putting it on different platforms. So again, thank you for your time all the way from South Africa. And this was Jungo Vibes. Listen to us again on the next episode.